The Obamagate happening is continuing right now on Twitter, trending number 4 nationwide. Hashtag Subpoena Obama. A big political debate happening between the left and the right over whether or not Obama should be made to answer for what's going on with the implications of the Obamagate scandal. In the meantime, however, a much more important story. Senator Josh Hawley has called for a special counsel to probe the Obama administration, saying the more we learn, the worse it gets. And of course, in the media, what are they doing? It's a debunked conspiracy theory, says Vox. There's no evidence. There's no facts, even though Joe Biden has even now had to admit he knew about the Flynn investigation. Let me just give you a bit of context for people who are not familiar with what's going on. They may say, Tim, what's Obamagate? Obamagate essentially says that Barack Obama was trying to sabotage Donald Trump's administration as they were transferring power. And the easiest way to enter this, because there's a lot going on. There's a Durham investigation, there's FISA abuse. But the simplest way to explain it is that Michael Flynn, Donald Trump's former national security advisor, was under investigation in the Russia collusion investigation, which turned out to be nothing, by the way. The FBI was going to close that investigation, but some FBI agents intervened, keeping it open, presumably with no investigatory basis, and then caught Michael Flynn in a lie. Now, according to notes that were released, they were trying to potentially get him fired, which is not law enforcement related as far as I can tell. Thus, really does seem like this was an attempt to sabotage the Trump administration. But what's crazy about it is that Obama knew, and so did Joe Biden. So the question is now coming up. Why did they know? What did they know? What was their level of involvement? And right now, as we now know that Obama knew about this, I believe it is 100% fair to say, hashtag Subpoena Obama. Because even if he wasn't involved, he can shine some light on this. Why was the FBI digging in, continuing an investigation into a man when they already cleared him? What was the investigatory basis for catching Michael Flynn in a lie? Well, as you know now, there's some contentious debate over whether or not Michael Flynn should have the charges against him dropped. And a judge is now kind of freezing this for amicus briefs or something to that effect. I'm not going to get into that. Let's talk about what's going on with Senator Josh Hawley. But we do have more news in this area. The Wall Street Journal and the New York Post, as well as Fox, are just absolutely dragging Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff had been lying for years about evidence in Russiagate, as well as many others. I have to wonder, now that we know, due to the transcripts being released in it's the Russiagate testimony from many high-ranking officials from the Obama administration and in the intelligence community, I wonder to what extent Donald Trump could prove defamation at the very least. But let's read this story and see what's going on with Josh Hawley. Fox News reports, Senator Josh Hawley on Wednesday called for a special counsel to conduct a full-fledged investigation into the Obama administration's potential ties to the FBI's alleged misconduct in the Russia investigation and in the case against former White House National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. The more we learn, the worse it looks, which is why we need a full investigation into what went on, the Republican Missouri lawmaker told Fox and Friends. Hawley said that the Obama administration took unprecedented action to spy on the Trump campaign during the 2016 presidential election, and they misled the FISA court. This is all true. It happened. Obamagate. Okay. Now, if you want to argue that Obama directed this, we need more evidence on that to make that claim. Thus, we have some questions, potential circumstantial evidence. Perhaps it is time to subpoena Obama. A secret court where if you are targeted in an investigation, you don't get to appear in the court. And we know that the Obama FBI deliberately misled FISA court. Well, that's coming from Bill Barr. Right now, what we know from the Horowitz investigation, there was FISA abuse for sure. That there was, we'll leave it at that. But the reason I don't want to get too much in the Horowitz stuff is because we're still waiting for the results of the Durham investigation, which is now a criminal probe. So things are about to get really, really spicy, especially if Obama is being dragged into this. Now, before we go on, people often ask me this question about my other channel. In the description below, you will see a link, timcast.net. If you haven't already, go there. It's another YouTube channel. I know most of you already know this. I have 3 or 4 channels, but many people are confused through the way that YouTube names this. So go to timcast.net. If you haven't already, subscribe to my other channel. I do videos there every day at 4 p.m. Let's keep reading. Fox says, meanwhile, Russia probe files released as part of the Justice Department's move to drop its case against Flynn are raising new questions about a mysterious Inauguration Day email sent by Flynn's predecessor to the Obama administration's Susan Rice. An exhibit in the DOJ's motion to dismiss the Flynn case last week detailed a special counsel interview with former Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates. The interview indicated outgoing President Barack Obama was aware of Flynn's intercepted December 2016 phone calls with then Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak during the presidential transition period. The document noted Yates learned about the calls during a January 5th, 2017 Oval Office meeting with Obama, Rice, James Comey, John Brennan, and James Clapper. After the briefing, Obama, they mentioned Biden was there because Biden was there. After the briefing, Obama asked Yates and Comey to stay behind and said he had learned of the information about Flynn and his conversation with Russian ambassador about sanctions. Obama specified that he did not want any additional information on the matter, but was seeking information on whether the White House should be treating Flynn any differently given the information. At that point, the document said, Yates had no idea what the president was talking about, but figured it out based on the conversation. Yates recalled Comey mentioning the Logan Act, but can't recall if he specified there was an investigation. Comey did not talk about prosecution in the meeting. Keep in mind, the Logan Act is it's never been really used. It's an archaic law, and it seems to be a desperate attempt to try and do something to jam up the Trump administration. Hawley said that the Senate should conduct an investigation as well in order to give the American people answers. Hawley urged that the Judiciary Committee should hear from former Obama officials under oath. If they won't come, we should subpoena these people so they can look into the eye of the American public and tell everyone what exactly they did. Why did they break these protocols? Why did they authorize spying on the Trump campaign? Why did they lie to the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act court and try to get wiretaps on Trump affiliates? Why did they break protocol with Flynn and go after him the way they did? The important thing you need to know is that when we're surveilling, foreigners, right, be it this Kislyak guy, they're not supposed to know who the Americans on the call are because Americans have civil rights. We also have constitutional rights. Somehow, someone unmasked Michael Flynn's name, and thus they made moves against him that shouldn't have happened. The filing to dismiss the Flynn case came after the DOJ determined that the Bureau's 2017 Flynn interview, which formed the basis for his guilty plea of lying to investigators, was conducted without any legitimate investigative basis. The retired Army Lieutenant General for months had been trying to withdraw his plea, aided by a new attorney aggressively challenging the prosecution's case and conduct. Now, the media has absolutely played one of the dirtiest roles in this whole scandal. Fox News says media weren't fooled by Schiff's Russia hoax. They were an essential part of it, says author Lee Smith. Now, I know, not every single journalist, but let me tell you, when Michael Flynn came out and said he wanted to withdraw his plea, the media attacked him, said he was a criminal, a crook, that Donald Trump was a crony and all this stuff. We then got new information, new evidence was released that shows, yes, it seems to be absolutely, malicious what they did to Michael Flynn. The note that said, what's the goal of the investigation? To get him to lie so he can prosecute or get him fired? That right there should show you it was malicious intent. Get him fired. Come on, man. You cannot deny that. And what did the media do? The media went after Flynn, accusing him of everything, siding against the president as always, and then evidence comes out showing, well, they were wrong again. I can't understand why the Democrats and the media just are wrong all the time, but perhaps it's because they have no choice. I mean, they were wrong about Russia, they were wrong about Ukraine, they were wrong about China, they were wrong about Justice Smollett, they were wrong about Covington. They were wrong. They were wrong in 2016. They are wrong again. And more information comes out. They were wrong about Devin Nunes, who in 2018 said there was FISA abuse, and they attacked him for it, saying, no. And then what happens? Horowitz comes out, actually, Devin Nunes was right. The media, as far as I can tell, is either listen, George Carlin said, think about how stupid the average person is. Now realize half of them are stupider than that. Now, you've got to convince me that the media is in the bottom bracket at the back of the bell curve, that every single journalist, every major news organization is well below the average person's intelligence. I'm not going to buy it. While I will fully admit many of these journalists are dumb as rocks, I think many of them knew what they were doing and still do. Let's read a little bit of the story from Fox News. House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff played magician by claiming there was Russian collusion without clear evidence. And the media helped push the narrative for 3 years. Journalist and author Lee Smith argued on Tuesday. The press played magician's assistant, helping Schiff obscure what was going on for 3 years. The author of The Plot Against the President told Fox and Friends. Smith said, it was sad that Schiff's Russia collusion narrative was pushed so heavily by the media. He also said that while a lot of very important press institutions hold the same name, they no longer serve the purpose they had over a decade ago. What they are now, again, these are operations to help sustain democratic policies, and that's exactly the point of collusion. If you were wondering why for 3 years Adam Schiff kept talking about collusion, hiding in plain sight, and the media never called him out, the main purpose of collusion was to play to block President Trump's agenda. I think it was more than that. I think one of the major benefits, be it intentional or not, was that Donald Trump could not purge the swamp, the permanent government, the deep state, whatever you want to call it. Here's how it works. There are people who work for the intelligence community, and they're there between administrations. So I've often brought up one of the biggest problems with foreign policy, that we go to war with these, Middle Eastern countries and other areas of the world. See, what happens is Barack Obama, for instance, he gets elected and he says, I'm going to pull us out of, Iraq and all that stuff. They hand him a folder and say, here's what's happening. And he goes, OK, we're going to stay. And we're going to keep making, we're going to keep going. We're going to make it worse. And then, Obama ends up bolstering our Middle Eastern presence to a certain degree. And my argument has often been it's because the position controls you. But the other way to look at it is that you have people who work in intelligence who are controlling and dictating policy through their perspective. Whether or not they're elected, they're still there. Well, Donald Trump wanted to drain the swamp. He wanted to come in, get rid of a lot of these people. He couldn't. You know why? He was under investigation, and any move he made was considered obstruction of justice. So here you have all of these holdovers, and none of them could be purged. Barack Obama fired tons of people when he first came into office. Donald Trump couldn't because everyone was arguing that every move he made was an attempt to cover up a crime that never existed, and we now know, and we've known, to be honest, is completely bunk, but more evidence has come out. Fox goes on to say, Smith's comments came after he wrote a New York Post op-ed. Adam Schiff lied about the Trump investigation, and the media let him, arguing that the media backed Schiff's Russia collusion narrative without concrete evidence. As the grand impresario of collusion, Schiff has filled print and broadcast media since January 2017, claiming that he has seen more than circumstantial evidence of a Trump-Putin conspiracy. Obviously, there was none in the transcripts, or he'd have pulled back the curtain years ago. But Schiff didn't want to hand control of the narrative to one of Trump's most effective deputies. So on Thursday, they finally went live, he wrote, adding that the tragic fact is that once prestigious press organizations, including CNN, as well as MSNBC, the New York Times, and the Washington Post, weren't fooled by the collusion hoax, they were an essential part of it. Last week, the DOJ announced it had dismissed its case against former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, who was accused of lying to the FBI about contacts with Russia. It was a stunning development that came after internal memos were released, raising serious questions about the nature of the investigation that led to Flynn's late 2017 guilty plea of lying to the FBI. Smith said that the media pushed the Russia collusion narrative to damage Trump's presidency from the outset. At the very least, to obstruct and block Trump's agenda, since a lot of that agenda had to do with reversing the different initiatives that Barack Obama proposed. Things like the Iran deal, open borders, things like this. The purpose of the collusion narrative was to hold down the administration. Lee Zeldin, a couple days ago, called for Adam Schiff's resignation. So certainly there are people who are not sitting back while this is going on. The Wall Street Journal, for instance, says all the Adam Schiff transcripts, newly released documents show he knew all along that there was no proof of Russia-Trump collusion. The editorial board yesterday night. But we knew this. We knew Adam Schiff was lying. We now have the receipts he was lying. Will anything come of this? I think the answer is no. This is one of the scariest things as we enter now into this election cycle. But I'll tell you what, I'll tell you how my view has changed. Policy-wise, I've always been a rather lefty person. When I take the political compass test, for instance, I'm like I did a political compass test video several months ago, and I made the joke that I was a communist because I'm like really libertarian left. I'm like, I'm pretty out there, right? And I won't vote for Democrats at this point. I will not vote for a Democratic congressperson, senator, president. Nah, it's just absolutely not going to happen. And you know why? It has nothing to do with policies at this point. And I think everyone gets it. And that's where it kind of breaks down as to what a liberal or a conservative is. My fear comes after the 2018 midterms and what we saw. First of all, I live I'm seriously like a block or two away. Literally like half a mile from Jeff Van Drew's district. This is the Democrat who became a Republican, who flipped. Donald Trump did a rally in his district, and it was massive. It was insane. My fear, when you see all these Democrat moderates come out and they say, we're not like the other Democrats, we're not here to just bicker about Trump and push this nonsense, we're going to fight for these issues. As soon as those districts flipped, giving the House majority to Democrats, that was the push they need to force the impeachment scandal through. It was a hoax. They tried to impeach Trump. We knew it wouldn't work. There was nothing there. What is going on with the Democrats? They've lost their minds. Now I'm between a rock and a hard place. I really am worried about people like Adam Schiff being given more power. So long as the Democrats have the majority of the House, Adam Schiff is empowered. And the only way to actually stop him, this deceiver, this deceitful individual, this, as Tucker Carlson says, this sociopath, the only way to stop him is to make sure that Democrats do not have the House majority, which creates a very awkward position for someone like me and the people I know. Like my buddy Adam, for instance, is a pretty lefty dude. And he came out on the show on the IRL podcast saying he was going to straight up vote for Trump. And I'm like, well, hold on. You know, there might be another Democratic nominee. Let's be honest. At this point, I don't think there's any safe bet in voting for any Democrat because you empower people like Schiff. That scares me. You empower people like Pelosi. That scares me. I don't like Mitch McConnell, but I'll tell you what, there are a couple of Republicans I do like, even though I disagree with them. And this is the strange position for independent voters, for left-leaning moderates. Right now, independents are favoring Trump according to a few different polls. These are people like me, most likely, who don't, for the most part, like Donald Trump as a president. He's a funny guy. I admit he's a great entertainer. He's a funny guy, self-deprecating. But would I, like, if I could choose anybody for president, would I choose him? Probably not. To be honest, I don't necessarily know who I would pick, although I was a big fan of Yang because Yang had a bunch of really great policy ideas. My position now is we're looking at Joe Biden, lunatic. Like the dude's brain is just shattered, and they're actually entertaining this guy being president. And I'm like, listen, man, Donald Trump is crafty. He speaks kind of weird. I don't think he's the smartest guy in the world. He's not stupid. He's certainly very smart. I'm just saying he's not like, you know, they say he's a super genius 4D chess. He's got good people around him. He's smarter than most people. He knows how to succeed. He made the economy work. He's got a lot of great things behind him. But he's got a lot of character defects, to say the least. Professionalism matters, decorum, things like this. Trump is certainly uncouth. Should that be disqualifying? Probably not. But I'll tell you what, if I had the choice of someone with a lot of Trump's policies and a more professional demeanor, I'd happily choose the other person. But when faced with Joe Biden, it's there's no question. Like, I mean, Joe Biden cannot be president. Does that mean I would vote for Trump? We'll see. But I'm getting more and more worried. The more this information comes out, the more concerned I am with Democrats retaining power. This creates a very uncomfortable position of voting for the lesser of two evils. Now, when it comes to the president, it's very different. But when it comes to Congress, when it comes to Congress versus presidency, they're very different circumstances. Congress, to me, is very, very worrisome. The only reason Adam Schiff was able to do what he did was because the Democrats took control of the House. That's why impeachment went through. That's why our time was wasted. That's why these lies persisted for 3 years, lies that are now proven to be false. Do we need a special counsel investigation into Obama? I got to be honest, I am not enthusiastic about that. I would not call for that myself. I am sick of it. I'm done with it. The problem is, if it's true they really did these things and I was willing to entertain an investigation against Trump, it would be unfair to deny an investigation against Obama if that's what the Trump supporters are calling for. To put it simply, I wouldn't want the investigation against Trump and I wouldn't want the investigation against Obama. But the investigation against Trump happened. It was bunk. It was 3 years of lies. Adam Schiff lied. The Democrats lied. The media lied. Now Trump supporters, conservatives, are saying we need an investigation of this new evidence against Obama. And as much as I don't like it because I'm sick of this stuff, it's getting nothing done. I think it has to happen. I do. If it turns out that Obama knew these things and he testifies, well, just like they said about Trump, if they've got nothing to worry about, they can testify and it'll be fine, right? Now, personally, I disagree with that logic. But we do have a problem of something malicious was happening, and we need to know why. And if they were going to investigate Trump, well, Trump has been, for the most part, cleared. Even though these people never want to give it up, they're going to claim he wasn't. I think we have to know. So I'll throw my hat in the ring, my beanie, into the Subpoena Obama camp. Not that I think I have definitive evidence of anything nasty about Obama. I think there's some weird questions that need to be answered for. And I think Obama and his administration should testify. Josh Hawley is calling for it. Let's see if the Republicans have the force of will to actually get the job done. One of the biggest problems in Trump's early presidency was spineless Republicans who refused to uphold the rule of law. There's been some people calling out people like Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham, in my opinion, has been so just terribly ineffective. Look, man, never been a fan of the Republicans. Never been a fan of Mitch McConnell or Lindsey Graham. Many of these people. There's a small, group. There's like Dan Crenshaw. There's like Rand Paul. I think they're good dudes. Josh Hawley seems to be a pretty good dude. And I probably disagree with him on core fundamental issues. But at this point, when you've seen what Adam Schiff has done, when you see what the Democrats do, we are living in objective reality. They're not. I know they'll claim they are too, but listen, man, Russiagate for 3 years. Let me ask you a question. If you are a Democrat and you think you're on the right side, let me ask you about Russiagate. Nothing. Ukrainegate. Nothing. Impeachment. Nothing. The China accusations. Maybe you missed that one. They claimed Trump was colluding with China. That fell apart in a week. How about Jussie Smollett? How about Covington? How many times do you have to be wrong before you say, okay, maybe I'm on the wrong side. Maybe these people are lying to me. They still believe it. The transcripts prove there was no evidence that these people who were going on TV saying Russia, Russia, Russia were lying. We now know they were lying. We have definitive proof they were lying. Stop believing them. You know what? You got your emotional barriers up and you just hate the president. I don't care. I'm not playing that game. These people have lied endlessly. I refuse to empower them at all with my vote. And you know what? I don't know what that means come November. We'll find out. This stuff makes me angry, huh? Can you tell? Stick around. Next segment's coming up. Go to, at 4 p.m., go to timcast.net. And you will see a big, beautiful channel for those that aren't familiar. And there's going to be a video at 4 p.m. about the Democrats. I'll see you then.